Welcome back, everyone, to another episode, and actually the season finale of the Broker to Broker podcast, brought to you by Fuse 2025 in Nashville. I'm your host, founding president of AIME, Mark Summers. Today, I'm really excited about today. I saw this one pop up on my calendar, and I was just extremely excited because this man who you may be looking at right now has done absolutely wonderful things for our association, our community, really brought the community back together. But today's episode, we're ending it, taking a look back on the year, looking forward to what's coming, but no one better to help us do this and give us like his ideas and what's going to happen, because he's been an absolutely phenomenal leader. But today's guest is the chairman and CEO of AIME, Jonathon Haddad. John, thanks for joining us today, my man.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you, man. It's getting back into the swing of things. Last week was kind of my full week back, and I'm slowly getting acclimated back into all the heavy mixing that we got going on here at AIME. So I'm really, really excited to be back, and thank you for having me on as always.
Oh no, you're one of my favorite guests to have. Even before we appointed you. You know what I mean? So, but first off, we got to congratulate John. He had just had a baby on November 19th. It's baby Alina, correct?
That is correct. Spot on, yes, sir.
All right, man. Congratulations, John. John, I don't know how you're doing it. You're a very, very busy individual. 3 kids under the age of what, like 14 months?
Yep, under the age of 1.5. Yes, sir.
Good Lord. God bless you, my man. But let's take your mind off your children for a second, and let's start talking about, our 200th episode and everything that has happened this year, which, as we all talked about before, we got kicked in the teeth right away in the beginning of the year. John and I talked so many times, but it was just like, stay the course. We know what we're doing. So let's just take a deep dive on this. I want to talk about Fuse first. Okay. I know you've been to Fuse. You've been on stage at Fuse, but this is your first one as chairman and CEO. So you were more backstage. You were more running around. You were the man of 3 days, which is absolutely awesome. Tell us how it was for your first AIME being the chairman and CEO.
Yeah. A lot of it when you go into something like that is one, the nerves first and foremost. I think that's a really real statement to make because I personally never done anything like that before. So just getting my mindset ready into what it was going to be like. You have all these what if and what if this and what if that happens and what if that. Here's the reality of the situation. People are people. And just like any other event that I've been to or that I've been a part of, you just treat people with respect, you treat people with kindness, and you give them everything that you have. And you're genuinely excited to be in front of them. I think that was the biggest focus for me as I was running around. I actually got a lot of data. I'm going to share my data here over the next few months on this Whoop. I wear this thing called a Whoop, and it was exhausting. Like I was sleeping maybe 2-3 hours a night. But the truth of the matter is, it doesn't matter. Once you're up, once your name is called, once you're on stage, whatever it is, you got to turn that switch on. You got to be ready. It's honestly, Mark, like, yes, it's a different scale, but it's no different than when it's time to talk to an agent or a client. Like, just got to turn that switch on. You got to be prepared. So I loved it. It was really fascinating. It was really new for me, but I just love being in front of the audience and the people there. And that was the most exciting part of it all.
Yeah, the people there, you could tell they were bought in because a lot of them drove through a hurricane.
Yes.
to get there. I know I did. I drove, 16 hours? Yeah, what you wait a minute, didn't you fly from like Atlanta to Pensacola and then drove 5 hours?
Yeah, so we moved our flights around just to make sure we were there. So it was a straight shot initially, and instead, just to be safe because of where the winds were coming into play, we ended up flying into Atlanta first, then Pensacola, rented a car in Pensacola, and then drove into Louisiana just to make sure we were there on time because, yeah, you're right. Things happen and few things outside of our control. And we had to just make some adjustments on the fly. So it was a lot of fun, to say the least, just navigating those weird situations, I guess.
Absolutely. The thing about it as well is, I'm going to speak personally on my behalf here, which was, Fuse is always great. Like it's stressful, it's whatnot, but that one was like one of the least stressful ones for me. And I attribute that a lot to you and the team. It's, and I'm not knocking anyone here. We've always put on good shows, and that's the end result that we need. But it was like really, really relaxing. And I was able to talk to more people at that Fuse than I've ever had at any other Fuse. So that was my highlight, even though all of the guests were great. All the panelists were great. Ed Milet, had me in tears. I've talked about that a million times. So I talked about my highlights. What were your highlights of Fuse?
Yeah. So, you know, number one, I think the biggest thing for me was the breakout sessions that we did. So we did our breakout sessions this year were really focused on sales and sales scripting and how to give back and tangible things that the community can take in. Those rooms were slammed. Like
Yeah.
they were craving it. I actually did a QR code at the end of a few of them of a survey monkey on did you find this valuable? Did you not? The results were outstanding when it comes to the value that they found. I did a session with one of my biggest real estate agents. He's one of the biggest agents in the country, and just giving them back like, hey, here's what we look for. Here's how you can help new agents. Here's what you can do as a new loan officer. Giving them tangible things for the questions that loan officers always ask. And we give a lot of the general answers too, right? Like, what should I do if I talk to an agent? Well, you should be focused and do that. No, here's real information. Here's real tangible things. So the breakout sessions, number one, were the biggest thing. Number two, I mean, look, it's selfishly, right? Was the reception that I got personally when it came to my keynote. I won't lie to you. Just all that work we put in because we got kicked in the face those first few months, all of that was not easy stuff to deal with. So just being able to deliver a keynote like that and then watch them get so excited, walk up to me afterwards, and that inspiration and that excitement, that was a huge part of it for me that I absolutely loved. And then more importantly was the team. I think getting together with all of us was a blast. Just watching everybody how tired they were. Here's why that meant a lot for me. People don't know. We run very lean at AIME, very lean. Like putting on an event like that with the people that we have is not heard of. So to just watch our team just be at the brink of exhaustion, yet sit there and look at each other and go, we're ready for more. We're ready for more. I don't know. It just meant a lot to me. And it was really cool to see our group come back together and just really push back and put together an incredible event for all of our people.
Yeah, I can tell you this right now that the entire AIM team had your back and continue to have your back. And that's the cool thing about it. We were so cohesive. It wasn't even funny. And Hall of AIM was that was something else. I did not expect that. I came in my black suit thinking, okay, we're just going to do some awards. It was a great party, and it was a great networking event.
Well, we're going to listen, Mark, it's our biggest thing is giving back to this community. We've talked about it wholeheartedly. What do I mean by that? Yes, AIME's always given back, and we're going to continue to always give back. The difference with me is this: I write loans. I'm in the trenches. So being in a situation to where I understand what it's like if you don't close a loan, that could potentially mean not food on your table. So we need to celebrate when our people come together. We need to celebrate them. We got to put on a show. We got to make them feel unbelievable for all the hard work that they're putting in, because we know how hard it is. Our community is made up of a lot of our small mom and pop shops, right? That's our community. So giving back to them and making sure they're getting sales tips, how to scale their business, even if we can help them with one additional loan, one additional opportunity, I'm telling you, that's what it's going to take for us to keep propelling and pushing each other forward. I really believe that in my heart.
No, I echo that 100%. So one of the cool things that AIME has done recently is we announced Fuse 2025, getting really ahead of the game. And this year we're in Nashville, October 23rd through the 25th. I love Nashville. It's one of my most favorite places on the earth. Actually, on the way home from New Orleans, we were talking about stopping and staying there for a night, but I just wanted to get home. But what makes you most excited about this location, John?
One of the biggest things as you come into this role, and I think people will learn it, is we have brokers all across the place, from East Coast to West Coast. And picking a location, y'all, believe it or not, is much harder than I had anticipated it to be, just to be upfront with this entire group. Because look, there's just certain things I don't understand. And as I'm learning and going through that, there's a big piece of it that I am going to continue to learn. This location to me is very in the middle. People love it. It gives it some of that appeal. People call it, right, the Vegas of the over here, right? They talk about that. Nash Vegas. I've heard that before 1,000 times. So we get a mix of that ability to, I guess, go out and party a little bit, but more importantly, bringing people together in that dynamic. If you see the reception that we got about Fuse Nashville, that's been the coolest part for me, Mark, just reading all the comments. I mean, truly, there's been very little negative comments. And, even launching New Orleans, which we had a blast, we had some people with negative comments and, hey, this might happen, or this might happen, or what if this pops up? But the overall result is astounding to see the excitement people have. And that's exciting me truly to be in Nashville. So that's a big piece of it. Plus, we got a little country theme going behind there. Don't be surprised if you see some lassos. Okay. Don't be surprised if you see some dunk tanks. Don't be surprised about the amount of fun we're going to have when it comes to all the different things we're going to be doing with our vendors and all the different games and prizes that we're going to be doing to start creating that excitement around the broker community coming into 2025. But more importantly, that'll be close to entering 2026, believe it or not.
I'm telling you, it's like a time warp in our industry. We're always looking for like end of the month, end of the quarter, and next thing you know, it's it's the next year. Every time.
I didn't even think about that.
I always say it's like my business is a time warp. So, all right. So we obviously know you're extremely busy with your family. I mean, father of twins, newborn here. You're chairman and CEO of AIME. You run Next Door Lending, host of multiple weekly webinars. Besides all of that stuff, what's been exciting for you in the past few months? Like, is there anything you can share with us that's like, oh God, this is great?
I mean, for me personally, there's a few things, one, I think for me personally is coming into 2025. My biggest focus is making sure I'm doing the things that I love to do. So one of the hardest parts about being in any role, I think for all us that know on here, is a lot of us are type A personalities, and it's hard to let go of certain things, and we don't want to delegate as much. For me, the thing that's been most exciting, Mark, is I've accepted delegation, and it's crazy to see the amount of people that want to help me, the amount of people that want to see me win, and they're willing to take so much stuff off my plate. So believe it or not, that is my excitement, is all the other things getting taken off my plate. And I've just been accepting of it, truly letting it go. I feel like it's a new phase in my career, in my journey, and I'm ready to take it to the next level. So that's going to be the most exciting thing for me. Number two, honestly, is just getting closer with the family. That's a really, really big piece for me. And as the kids get older, it is fascinating. They're saying things like dad now, and they're putting together sentences. That's hard. And I want to make sure that I'm around for all their events and those little things. So I'm getting excited around planning their little lives for them for as much as I can until they don't need dad anymore. So God will take a long time. But just planning everything and getting excited about the future has definitely been where my head has been over the last few months, to say the least.
As your elder statesman in the room, I'm just going to say enjoy it as much as you can. Next year when we're at Fuse, October 23rd, that's my oldest son's birthday, and he turns 20. So it goes, it's crazy. It goes by fast, but I know you, John, and you will succeed with that. You'll do great. So kudos to you on all of that, by the way. So what we're going to do here, John, now is we got a little surprise-ish. We're going to go month by month through all of our milestones. But before we do that, this is our thank you to you. Your work, your resilience, just you're an absolute naturally born leader, not only for AIME, but for the broker community through 2024, when within reason, you had every right to say, screw this, I'm not doing this. I mean, truly, there was a time I was like, yep, he's going to quit. But, your personality just fought right through it, and your optimism on everything really gives this community a lot to look forward to. So personally, coming from myself, coming from the AIME team, coming from the community, I just want to thank you.
Thank you, brother. That means the world to me, man. Seriously, thank you.
No problem. All right, so let's go back to 2024, which seemed like we were just talking in January. It was crazy. I was really excited that you were coming on board, you know what I mean, and that you accepted. But let's go through it. Tell me your thoughts on this. So January, right? We announced that you're going to be our new CEO. What was going through your head at that time?
Look, it was surreal at first. You and I were having conversations, and it was surreal at first. And then I think it started to really settle in, like, okay, wait, it's about to happen. So nerves kicked in the night before. And I said, okay, like, you can't expect it to go well. And that's kind of what I told myself, is just be prepared for whatever. Now, needless to say, I was not prepared for what came next. It was a little bit more than I had anticipated in my head. But it was a lot of just like, here we go. Like, especially once the announcement was made and we saw the noise happen, like, that's truly where I do the best, just to be very upfront with you, is once there's noise, once there's potential conflict, I do very well in those situations, especially for me, pick up the phone, just call, have a conversation. So the nerves were there, and definitely surreal. But then when it all hit, the moment of like, oh, here we go. Now it's time to actually bunker down and stay locked in and loaded. So there was a lot of different emotions flying through over the first, hell, the first 30 days of this announcement.
Yeah, it was, looking back on it now, it was fun.
At
That's what I'm going to say.
the least.
Okay, so then we go February. I know this was a big thing that you and I talked about is having a board of directors, like a true board of directors. And we allowed self-nominations, to our community members. How do you think that went?
You know what? I wish it went better than it did. It's funny, and this is okay. I think part of it is just continuing to make change, and this is part of us being as real as we are, right? When you and I talk, I wanted more people engaged in the voting. We had so many people complain or what about this or what about that? Yet the community, we only had 150 people end up actually voting and going through with it. So just to see so many people that were initially complaining and then not vote, that was a little bit bothering personally. But again, as we reflect and think through it, it's like, okay, they haven't had this before. Do they think it's a facade? Okay, well, how do we break these barriers? So at first it was a little upsetting just because there was a lack of, but then after I go through it and walk through the process, personally, Mark, I was like, you know what? No, this is a step in the right direction. Let's get excited for those that did vote, and let's prove to everybody else why you need to vote. And I think we're doing that. And coming into the next vote we have coming up at Fuse, by the way, next year is when we get to vote again, which the community, I don't even think realizes that. So I want to see massive, massive engagement when it comes to the voting coming into next year.
I agree. And I think you're going to get it. I mean, our board of directors right now, some of the best human beings I've ever met.
Yep.
And they're just phenomenal. They're always willing to help. They want more. They want to help more, which is absolutely great. So I'm thankful that they're there.
Me too.
So then in March we did, the broker community voted. WMN Live series host with Laura Brandeo kicks off. AIME's membership madness sale goes great, and even our Black Friday sale right now is going even better. So that was a great March. April, we appoint you as chairman.
Yep.
Okay. AIME's board of directors are elected and appointed. Did you feel any different? Being chairman and CEO?
Yes, I did. And the reason why is you really do. I work so many different people. One of them, obviously, Cliff Gilmore, our COO. And it is a different hat that you have to wear, Mark. Like when I have my chairman hat on and when we're in those board meetings, it is, I feel like an entirely different person, but it's necessary. It's required. You have to put on the hat and you got to act as if, and you really have to take it as seriously as humanly possible. And truly, Mark, the biggest thing for me, Tom Hollis, he's the treasurer, and he said something to me. He said, it's our fiduciary responsibility. The community gives us money and they count on us to do the right things with it. And when he hit me with that, I was like, oh my God, he's right. These people are giving us their money, their hard-earned dollars, and they're saying, please do the right thing with this money. Please do the right thing. And that's not something we take lightly. For me, commission sales, every dollar I've earned, it's been for me bringing money in the house. For this, it's our community giving us their money. So it's absolutely a very different dynamic without a doubt in my mind.
And for the record, we just had a board meeting the other day, and John came in and said, I'm not CEO John right now. I'm Chairman John.
Yep.
It was a completely different hat. I was cracking up when you said that.
It's real because, it's hard sometimes because my personality, I'm very optimistic. I am just I can't help it. Sometimes people hate it, that I'm that optimistic, but it's just my life. I've had no choice but to revert to that on so many cages in my life. So now going into something like this, it's not that I'm not optimistic. It's just that you're realistic first, optimistic second, where generally I'm optimistic first, realistic second. In this case, it's the opposite way around. It's probably the best way for me to put it.
I love it. Absolutely love it. All right. So then in May, we had our first ever board of directors meeting, and then the bylaws were updated. You can go into your portal and check all those out. And then in June, you launched the Mortgage Mornings on East Coast and the Community Pulse Live. If you're not on the Mortgage Mornings, I get it sometimes, but just do your best to get on it. Every time I get on it, I come out rejuvenated, ready to go. I learn something every single time. We do a lot of role playing. We bring on special guests, and that little community right there is absolutely amazing. What's your favorite thing about Mortgage Mornings?
It's such a good question, man, because it's turned into something special. East and West Coast. Shout out to Julie for handling the West Coast as well. That's really turning into something special on their front too. The biggest thing for me is watching the consistency of those that show up each and every single week. It's just crazy to me to see people, some of them at 5 a.m, by the way, that are on weekly like clockwork and never make an excuse, never miss it. And just to see their motivation and just dedication. One of the biggest things coming into this role is it's like you think about who am I impacting? Who am I making it? Who am I helping the most? What am I doing to impact their business? You start to really think about all these things and you're trying to figure out, okay, what actually works best? And then you do something like this and you have people that jump on week after week after week, just wanting to learn from you and be part of a different, be part of something bigger than themselves. I always, even 11 years in leadership, I'm always just fascinated by that and very humbled by it. So that's probably been my favorite thing. And then meeting these high level people that are up at 4:30, 5 a.m. like myself, that's really cool. That's like a group of friends that I'm hoping turns into something very long term. And we get to keep this relationship for as long as humanly possible because I've met some amazing people through this.
Yeah, great people. We did East Coast in June, and then we launched West Coast in July with Julie. We gave her a shout out there, but that West Coast one is great as well. So then we go to August. Broker to Broker podcast reaches its 200th episode. Now, when they told me it's a 200th episode, I started laughing. I'm like, oh, cool. I mean, they flew by. And then you and I did another podcast, and you were shooting stats at me that I didn't even know, and actually what the outreach is of this podcast. And I was blown away. I was very grateful for it. What's your favorite thing about the podcast?
Dude, you know what it is? It's the consistency. I think for you is building that consistency has been a big deal. But two, we get to showcase people in their ever evolving businesses. You've had a few people on that you've had on in the past. So just to be able to watch them grow, just be able to watch them fulfill their business and be part of this community and grow our community. That's been my most favorite thing as I watch and see this journey and watch this thing grow and explode. But the consistency piece, man, it takes a lot to be that consistent. This is one of the most listened to podcasts in the mortgage space. And it's just crazy to me that people don't really understand or realize that you have killers on here all the time, $100+ million producers, or even if you're brand new. And to just give somebody a platform like that in front of our massive audience, I don't think is something people really think about, because you get to showcase and share your skill in front of thousands upon thousands of human beings. And that's a really big deal.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's fun. And the best part about it is I see them, like via, what is this, StreamYard that we use. And then I see them at an event and it's like, we were best friends.
Yeah, that's the best. Well,
I love it.
You too, man. You do a good job navigating these conversations, and you've been very consistent. These don't happen unless you're doing them.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that. So then we bumped to September. We already talked about Fuse, and we talked about Hall of AIME in New Orleans, which was absolutely phenomenal. October, Broker Power Up is launched. This is your baby. Tell us about it.
Yeah. So Broker Power Up. So here's what we're adding. We're going to move it into January of next year, just with the holidays coming up. And I'm going to stay committed to the mortgage mornings and finish those out. But the Broker Power Up. So it's just a sales tip, it's a sales tip every single Monday. You're also going to get a newsletter 10 minutes before about what the actual sales call is about. But this is just about consistency. This is about activity. This is about sales specific trainings and sales specific things that you can do when you're on the phone talking to your consumers. We have to do more coming into 2025. You have to spend a lot of time working on your craft, evolving your craft, developing your craft, and making sure that you're holding yourself accountable to doing all of this. So this is just one additional thing that you can add to your plate. It'll never be longer than 15 minutes. My goal is to keep between 8 to 15 minutes every time. Quick sales tip plus a newsletter to keep you focused and get your week off on the right foot.
Absolutely love it. I love it. I've been on them, and you can rewatch those if I'm not mistaken. They're absolutely phenomenal. And, once again, thank you for being committed to that. I mean, that's a lot of work, because you also have your own company to run. So, John, I mean, I can't say enough nice things about you. You're killing it.
Thanks, brother.
So then November, we did the Broker Recharge. It's a newsletter, that our members get they get updated on all of our benefits.
Yep.
everything that goes on. It's great. So if people aren't video people, they don't want to watch or listen, they can at least see that. December, we announced Fuse for the following year. So boom, that's how your year goes by so fast, my man. It's
crazy. I love that.
It just flies. So, all right. So let's move forward a little bit here and talking about AIME by the numbers. The marketing team, our marketing team does a phenomenal job. I don't know how they do what they do because it would take me years to do what they do, but we're calling it AIME by the numbers. So keep an eye out on social media this week to see everything that our community has accomplished. And it's the community accomplishments, not AIME accomplishments, the community accomplishments. But let's just take a look at some of them here. John, tell me if anything pops out to you here. You know what? I might just have you guess. What do you think the top state for AIME membership is?
Top. I'm going to go with Florida or Michigan.
It's California. Number 2 is Florida, moved up from number 4 last year. Number 3 is Texas. Number 4 is Arizona. And number 5 is Michigan. So, hey, me and John are both in Michigan. The mitten's still there. So we're representing as much as we can. Another great number here. And this is kind of something that I live and breathe with. And, John gets bombarded with them too. And we don't mind it at all. It's escalations. All right. So we were at a 93% success rate last year on our escalations. In my eyes, it's our biggest value prop when you buy membership. We saved $64 million for brokers last year, or this year, I should say. I mean, that's amazing. Why not have that in your back pocket? So that's why I love promoting membership, because we can help. And then last but not least, 400,000 community interactions. The brokers are better. Brokers are best, WMN and VIP Facebook. Dude, that's you, man. That's your leadership right there.
No, that's such a crazy stat to me. 400,000 interactions is mind-blowing, and a 93% success rate's even bigger.
It's nuts. But that's why this community is so awesome. And I tell people this: if you buy an AIME membership, great, thank you. You're going to get something out of it. But if you dive into this community and really start to interact with people, that's where that membership is so valuable.
This is so good. I'm reading it now. I see it now.
You see it now?
Yeah, I see it. Yeah.
All right. So now we got some AIME content here. Listen to these stats. This is insane. AIME has produced over 6,000 minutes of original content this year, including this podcast, Fuse sessions, webinars, and live streams. John, you got to be about 70% of that.
Oh my, that's crazy. The next one's, sorry, keep going. I'm going nuts. Not got me down a rabbit. Look what you guys did. Curtis.
I know. And it's funny. So if you know John, he dives into this stuff, especially when he sees it for the first time. So it's fun you just seeing this. All right. Next one. Over 150 community members featured in AIME content, reaching an audience of well over 2 million people. 2 million. That's insane. Over 200,000 aimegroup.com visits. Over 200,000. It's insane. AIME social media has reached over 1 million users. Over 5 million emails and newsletters delivered. Over 2,000 people woke up at 6 a.m. on the East and West Coast for mortgage mornings.
That's awesome, man.
Isn't that cool? That's just, I mean, we do this all the time, but at the same time, we don't know the impact that we have until we see this stuff. So if you're watching, John's still reading and smiling, just so you guys know.
All right, keep going. Keep going.
No, those are the stats I wanted to do right there. Actually, no, let's talk about Fuse here. This year's Fuse had more first-time attendees than ever before, with 44% of attendees who joined us in New Orleans were attending their very first Fuse conference. 43% of the total attendees this year were women.
Wow.
We had 55 speakers and 38 sessions. Unbelievable. And if for people that were there, remember, we cut it down because of the hurricane. We went from 3 days to just jamming it in 2 days, and everyone was flexible. It was great. All right. Despite the hurricane, we still held the WMN Summit, 14 breakout sessions, all of Fuse main stage content, and nearly 90% of all registered attendees were still present in New Orleans. So thank you to the community for being flexible. I think people had a fun time with it. So
class.
Yeah. And John, this was one of your babies. This was your idea, and I had no idea you were doing it. I'm sitting on the side of the stage. John's going, and he raised over $114,000 in less than 10 minutes at Hall of AIME.
Yep.
That was cool. That one was really cool.
That was a huge win from the event.
Yeah. We received incredible community feedback at a 300% bump in interactions and traffic from our announcements of Fuse for the upcoming 2025 Fuse coming to Nashville. I mean, those are stats, my man.
300% is no joke.
No, that's great. All right, we got to get back to you here. So what's next, John? We've seen everything that the community has done this year. What are your biggest goals for the community in 2025?
Look, biggest thing for us, we're working on revamping our portal for everybody, and we're in the trenches on this. The biggest thing for us is when you log into your portal, like, we want you to be excited about using the AMP portal. Right now, there isn't as much excitement about using it because there's things that break down and there's things that just don't work. So my biggest excitement is truly the launch of this portal so people can see and showcase the value that AIME provides. Plus, seeing the massive growth in membership sales has been huge. We did over $80,000 in membership sales during the Black Friday event. And I don't think that's going to stop, especially with us launching Fuse tickets being part of all membership sales. So that'll be a huge push of it. But personal goal-wise, just watching this community skyrocket into 2,500 paid members is definitely a huge personal goal that we have. And I think just all the different things that we're rolling out to the community will be a massive change and excitement for our community and our people.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I mean, I think we have so much momentum right now. And I also think that 2025 just for our industry is going to be great. I mean, we've been kicked in the teeth pretty much for the last we'll call it 3 to 4 years. I see the tides turning. I see people getting really focused. So I'm really excited for the community. And, personally, my goal for the community is I'm an open book. If there's anything, and I go speak at Success Track at UWM, and I just flat out tell them, if there's anything that myself or our team member can help us with, we're there for you. So that's my goal, is to try to put myself out there a little bit more for our community and try to help them. So we got good goals. I don't want to call them lofty goals. I think they're obtainable goals, but I also think we're going to hit every single goal.
So do I.
All right. So this is where you really come. I mean, John, you've been doing great today. I mean, you always do. But this is where you really come into play, because I think people need to listen to this part of the segment, which is, your final mindset going into 2025. Like, what is, like, if we're living in Jonathon Haddad's head going into next year, I got 2 questions for you for your mindset. All right. Yep. We'll start with number 1. I'll let you answer, then we'll go to number 2. What is your personal mindset looking at your work ahead of you in 2025? What keeps you going?
What keeps me going has so much to do with just such an internal drive. I think that's like the biggest key takeaway, is just wanting to see things out and see things through in terms of the vision, or what keep me going. Definitely my kids, definitely my family. But a lot of it is just not being afraid to fail. I think it's the biggest part of it, because this is something that's so big, and the opportunity for failure so high with something like this, right? With me, doing AIME and being part of this, that just excites me for some reason. So I'll tell you my mindset is very simple. You must learn to be overly confident, but have somebody in your corner that keeps you incredibly logical. But there's no reason why you can't look at each day and be the most confident human being you possibly can be. You know what you need to do. You know how to do it. The biggest piece of it all is, can you have somebody in your corner to help hold you accountable to hit your tasks and hit your goals? But go after things that have a high likelihood of failure. Go after them and just see where you land. You'd be surprised how many times you end up crossing that finish line. Even if you don't, even if you fall short of something, see how short you fell. But if you're not going to try for something that has a high likelihood of failure, you're going to be stuck in the same situation you're in every single year. And let's just be serious. That's a waste of time for all of us. We all think about how great we can be. We all know we can be great. We all know all the things to do, yet we hinder ourselves constantly because we're chasing perfection, or we're chasing the perfect conditions before we do something. Oh, once this is done right, then I'll jump forward. Oh, once I have this, then I'll post videos. Stop it. Jump into failure, be excited for it, and get ready to make the changes that you need in order to adapt and win coming into 2025.
Absolutely love it. You kind of answered that with the second question, but I know you're creative. What do you think the wholesale community's mindset needs to be to ensure they have the best possible 2025?
So, this is something you don't even know this yet, but I'm working on something for next year. It's a framework that I believe helps all salespeople across the country. It's a framework I called ACTA, just like act a fool, act whatever you want, right?
I love it. I love it.
It's really simple stuff. Like the A stands for activity. What are you doing to keep yourself active? So that means on a weekly basis. Are you putting things in your calendar that are activity? That leads me to number 2, the C, consistency. Are you consistently putting those activities in your calendar? So what are you doing? Activity, consistency. T, training. Are you training somebody or are you being trained? What are you doing to go out of your way to get training? And more importantly, what are you doing to train others? Because we know that's the best way to learn. And then the A, ACTA, accountability. If you're one of the lucky humans in this world that can hold themselves accountable, great. Majority of people need others to help them hold themselves accountable. So if you don't have a crew of people that are holding you accountable to your goals, find new friends, find new people, get them out of your life, and find people that are going to push you towards your goal. It's all about ACTA. We're going to act a fool in 2025, and we're going to hit our goals. I'm dead serious. And I see your smile, and I love it. Why? Because I know people are going to remember the phrase. It's time to act a fool and hit your goals. Stop with these years of not hitting goals, but setting them. That's really what a fool is, right? I'm going to keep setting new goals every new year, but I'm not going to hit them. Start making the changes right now and get yourself prepared. So ACTA is going to be the huge focus for AIME. You're hearing it now, Mark, for the first time. But marketing, I've already talked to you about this. We're building something out along these lines for this acronym.
I absolutely love it. John, listen, I don't know how else to thank you. I appreciate you taking time out of your day. I know you just got kind of back moving into the office and working your ass off as you always do, but just thank you for taking the time out. Thank you for everything you do for the community. And I appreciate you, everything that you do. You're amazing to work with.
Thank you.
All right. The last thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to, we're going to end this here, but I just want personally from myself, from Jonathon, from the AIME team, we just want to give a heartfelt thank you to every broker owner, processor, loan officer, ops manager, every other kind of mortgage professional out there. Whether you're on the Brokers or Best Facebook group or you're even just listening to this podcast, you guys are so amazing in this community. It's absolutely phenomenal to be a part of. I love people that have been in this industry over 20 years. I love people who are just getting started in it, and we're here for you. Thank you for reaching out to us when you need help or if you need something. It's a trustworthy thing that we absolutely love. I'm personally honored to be part of this amazing community. And I can't believe, I think it's going to be in February of 2025. It will be our 7th year. I think my math is right on that, which is absolutely mind-blowing. So from the bottom of my heart, to everyone out there listening, grinding in the Brokers Are Better Facebook group page, helping consumers, I just want to say thank you. So, John, do you want to add anything to that?
No, brother, I think you ended on that note. We are grateful for the opportunity and the chance. That's all we've ever asked from the start is just a chance. And you guys have given us more than that. And we're beyond appreciative for every single bit of it.
100%. All right. That's it, folks. So brokers, if you want to get caught up on all of our past podcast episodes, please head over to aimegroup.com/broker to broker. You can also listen to all the Broker to Broker podcast episodes on iTunes, Spotify, Google, anywhere where you can download podcasts. Do me a favor, rate it, download it, leave a review. It helps us get the podcast out there and spread the word. So thanks for joining us this season finale of the Broker to Broker podcast, everyone. Have a very, very happy holidays, and I'm really looking forward to a 2025. And we'll see you all next year. Have a great day.